Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra. This is a special edition where we will be tracking the Supreme Court's verdict on the Adani-Hindenburg case, which is likely to be pronounced in just a couple of minutes from now. A batch of petitions is what the Supreme Court will be pronouncing its verdict on. There will be an examination of the allegations of fraud made against Adani Group of companies in the Hindenburg Research Report. A bench comprising of Chief Justice DY Chandrachud and Justice J.B. Pardiwala and Manoj Misra will be delivering this judgment today, and that will be an important thing to watch. Already ahead of the judgment, we're seeing that the Adani Group stocks have hogged the limelight in the stock markets. All the stocks of the Adani Group listed on the exchanges are up into the green. They're rising to the tune of 15-16% intraday moves can be seen on some of the stocks as well from the Adani Group. And this is going to be the D-Day when we will finally see the closure on the Hindenburg Research Report that came in on January 24th of 2023. From that time until now, there has been severe volatility that the group stocks have also seen. Joining me now is Shell Bhatnagar also on the show. Shell, good morning to you. It's going to be a D-Day for the Adani Group stocks and for the shareholders and potential investors. Definitely a key day to watch out for.
Yes, Sakshi, and apart from the change in the economic landscape, this is also political hot potato as far as the ruling BJP is concerned. Remember, a lot of opposition parties had alleged that the proximity that the group enjoys with the central ruling party has been one of the reasons why the alleged problems that the report had focused on were the result of. So that is something that also needs to be looked at, but very, very strong momentum coming in. ATGL, that's Adani Total Gas, is up 10%. Remember, this is the first circuit. We tracked 10 Adani stocks for you, and they are up between 1.8 to 14%. Very, very strong move coming in, and this is backed by very, very heavy volumes both in the cash markets as also in the futures markets. Remember, the market is down, the Nifty is down 94 points, but the two top gainers on the index are fairly clear to us. It's Adani Ports as well as Adani Enterprises. Very, very smart gains on Adani Enterprises, 5.6% higher, and Adani Ports 3.2% higher. A bit of profit booking has also happened over the last 5, 7, 10 minutes of trade. But in terms of occupying mind space, in terms of occupying the real estate on traders' terminals, it's the Adani Group all through. Sakshi.
Absolutely. And what will be important to watch out for, remember, is that the Supreme Court had reserved the judgment pertaining to the case in November 2023. The judgment on the PILs filed by lawyers Vishal Tiwari, ML Sharma and Congress leader Jaya Thakur and Anamika Jaiswal as well was reserved on November 24th of 2023. These pleas that they had put with the Supreme Court claimed the allegations that this Adani Group is considered close to the Modi government, inflated its share prices, and after the report of the short seller Hindenburg Research, the share value of various group entities also had fallen very, very sharply. While reserving the verdict, the bench had then said that it has no reason to discredit SEBI, which probed the allegations against the Adani Group, as there was no material before it to doubt what the market regulator had done. It also said the court does not have to treat what was set out in the Hindenburg report as a true state of affairs as well. Remember, this statement, when it came out, we actually saw the Adani Group stocks rallying very, very sharply, claiming the market cap of 13 lakh crores first, then 14 lakh crore rupees. As far as today is concerned, Adani Group stocks, with the kind of surge that we are already seeing, they've crossed the market cap of 15.5 lakh crore rupees as a whole as well. And of course, through this entire year, we have seen several analysts talking bullishly about the fundamental strong stocks from the Adani Group, just like how Shell pointed out, Adani Ports, which has also been among the top picks from our morning guest today, that's Milin Vasudev, who believes that Adani Port does have a lot of potential from here on as well. Of course, we will be waiting and watching out for what the verdict comes out as far as the Hindenburg research report is concerned. But it's going to be very, very important to watch out for, because this is going to be a closure. Remember, Hindenburg research report had also said that these group stocks, at least 7 of the group stocks have an 85% downside on a fundamental basis due to sky-high valuations, which have been inflated artificially. So this is going to be a closure on that share.
Yes, Sakshi, and remember, it had reverberated across the globe, putting in a potential question mark on how corporate India works. All sorts of global media had descended upon the government of India in terms of lax rules governing those who are alleged to be close to the ruling party, and all sorts of price points were mentioned in terms of the downside that you say. Really, there was a torrid time that the group faced, but what came in terms of a very, very good white knight was a US-based long-term fund, GCQ Partners, that bought in large chunks of frontline Adani counters and provided a very strong support. That particular fund has more than doubled its investment, and let us see what the outcome is today. But the fact remains that a very, very strong move coming in. Vineet is with us, Vineet Bolinchkar, who tracks the sector very closely as far as the group is concerned. Let's get him into the conversation. Vineet, although the judgment is okay, we have the result. It says, the Supreme Court says that SEBI has a limited view on FPI. FPI transactions have not been, FPI rules have not been violated as far as the judgment is concerned, and this is something that is going to blow out the stocks. Okay, Adani Enterprises is already moving, and this is coming as good news as far as prices are concerned. There is no valid ground raised to revoke amendment to FPI LODR recommendations. This is again a positive. Adani Enterprises is moving 8% higher. Supreme Court observes that SEBI has completed 22 out of 24 cases on Adani.
Yeah.
SEBI is directed to complete remaining 2 probes within 3 months. And this is a very, very positive move coming. We'll be keeping on updating as far as new news is concerned.
Shell, some more pointers are starting to come out, Shell. Let me just read out, Shell. Some of the pointers that are coming out, the delivery of the verdict is begun, and Supreme Court is saying no ground here to transfer the probe in this case, and this can only be raised if there is willful or deliberate violation of the rules. That's what the Supreme Court has said. They're also saying that the power of the court to enter the domain of SEBI is limited. No valid grounds have been raised to direct SEBI to regulate its amendments made in exercise of delegated legislative powers. SEBI has completed the probe in 22 allegations. SEBI should take logical conclusions in accordance with the law. These are the statements that are coming out from the Supreme Court verdict. Let's look at all the stocks. How are they reacting to the first statements that are being made? Adani Enterprises 7% higher. Top mover Adani Ports 4% higher, 15.2% higher. Adani Energy Solutions, Adani Total Gas 10% higher. Adani Green Energy 7.5% higher. Adani Enterprises also higher by about 4% as well. And Adani Wilmar up by 5.5%. Adani Ports up by 3% odd. These are the stocks that are moving up. Shell.
So, Sakshi, prima facie, there is relief that is coming for the Adani Group from whatever little that we have for the moment. The case is not transferred to the CBI, which is a positive for stocks. As you can see, all of them are running away very, very sharply. Adani Energy Solutions 12.50 in front of you, Adani Ports 11.43. These gains are dramatic when it comes to the volume picture that you see on these. You have Adani Power stuck at 5% upper circuit, and a bit of profit booking now coming in essentially on Adani Ports as well as Adani Enterprises. Given that in consideration, you have this verdict coming in, the fact that 24 out of 22 cases that SEBI was tracking as far as the group is concerned are over, and there is a definitive timeline of 3 months, I think, for them to be completed as per the Supreme Court's direction to the SEBI. Sakshi, what else are you watching? Profit booking happening fairly sharply on Adani Ports, now at 1109, 3.25% higher. New players coming into the sector. Let's see how it moves. We are waiting for Vineet to join us. Sakshi.
Absolutely. We are waiting for Vineet to join in. Some more pointers that are coming in. Let me just read out for all our viewers. The reliance on OCCPR report is rejected, and the reliance on a third-party organization report without any verification cannot be relied upon as a proof against a statement which is in favor of Adani Group is coming in. Again, the Supreme Court is saying that government and SEBI will take into consideration the recommendations of the committee to strengthen the interest of Indian investors. This is important for all the investors who are invested. Supreme Court has also said that government and SEBI must look into if there is any infraction of law by the Hindenburg report on short selling, and if so, then take action in accordance with the law. They're also saying that SEBI has said FPI regulations did not prohibit opaque structure and could in fact locate the beneficial owners. Mandatory upfront disclosures meant that opaque structure was omitted in 2019. These are some of the other statements that are coming out. Shell.
Okay, there is one more statement which the Supreme Court of India has directed the Government of India and SEBI to look into if there is any infraction of law by Hindenburg report on short selling, and if so, take action in accordance with law. Now, this is slightly more critical because now the onus shifts on Hindenburg, Sakshi, that you've come out with this kind of a report, and before that you've taken short positions. Given that background in mind, it's like talking your book. मैंने ये बेचा है, ये बहुत बुरा है, या मैंने ये खरीदा है, ये बहुत अच्छा है. This kind of a thing is the kind of problems that we face. But the fact is that another thing is coming. Supreme Court refuses SIT probe in Adani-Hindenburg and endorses SEBI probe as well as regulations. This is really positive for the group as such, because it vindicates one, the regulatory mechanism of the Government of India as far as the market regulator SEBI is concerned, and of course it denies the opposition beating rod, which was the SIT probe that they were looking for. For the moment, there isn't much on any of the stocks, but as we said, between 10:30 and 9:15, these were the stocks that were rocketing. Sakshi, anything else that you have?
Well, SEBI is directed to complete remaining 2 probes in the next 3 months again. So SEBI is going to be on the job again for the next 3 months. It has completed 22 of the probe out of the 24 allegations that were made into the cases of Adani. So rest of the 2 probes have to be completed within the 3 months as well. So that's again, on the job for SEBI as per direction by the Supreme Court as of now. These are the important statements that have come out, but so far it looks positive on the Adani Group right now. Because the case is not going to be transferred to either CBI or SIT probe will not be heard. So which is again in an indication of a closure coming in. It's only on SEBI that has to now complete the remaining 2 probes within the next 3 months as well. Right now, if we look at the stock movement.
Important.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, one important point that I'd like to make is the political implications of this judgment that has come out. See, we are now in the election year, the major one for 2024 in May. The how should I say, uska bigul bajne wala hai. And that, given with the inauguration of the Ram temple in 2024, is a shot in the arm for the ruling BJP when it comes to coming on the ground and claiming, how should I say, a victory of regulations governing corporates in India as endorsed by the Supreme Court. We've seen a bit of a profit booking coming on stocks such as Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises. They have shrunk from days highs. But, this is a victory to be savored by the Adani Group, by corporate India, by the regulatory mechanism of the government of India, as also the ruling party at the center. Sakshi.
Right. The Chief Justice of India has said that and I'm quoting him as per the statements that are coming in on my chat, we find merit in SEBI arguments and do not find reason to interfere in delegatory legislative powers. The current regulations are not tainted with illegality. Petitioners have not challenged the wires of regulations, but there is regulatory failure. Thus, it is a prayer which is unknown to this court, and this is an afterthought based on value judgment and is thus rejected. This court cannot take over the role of delegatory legislation of SEBI, is what the court is saying, Shell. The other thing that the court has mentioned is that the court does not have power under 32 and 142. I think these are sections, but such powers should be used wisely in order of any investigation. Petitioners must place strong evidence to do so, is what the Supreme Court is saying. And these are some important statements that are coming out, Shell.
Yeah, Sakshi, there is an equally scathing observation that SEBI has, that the Supreme Court has made as far as media reports are concerned. Now listen to this. The Chief Justice of India, Justice Chandrachud, says reliance on newspaper reports and third-party organizations to question the statutory regulator does not inspire confidence at all. CGI says before concluding, public interest jurisprudence was developed to provide access to ordinary citizens. Petitions which lack adequate research and rely on unsubstantiated reports cannot be accepted. So, like I said, there is a lot that the Adani Group will be cheering about. There is a lot that makes the government of India and its regulatory structures happy, and there is a lot that the market and corporate India will rejoice after this, judgment coming from the Supreme Court of India on the Adani-Hindenburg report. Sakshi.
Right. Vineet Bulijkar is now with us, Head of Research at Ventura Securities, who tracks the Adani Group of stocks very, very closely. Vineet, very good morning to you. Important day today. Statements already flowing in from the Supreme Court's verdict. They're saying there is no room to doubt fairness of SEBI's probe into the allegations. SEBI has been asked for completing the last two probes within the next 3 months. Of course, they are saying that there is, PIL was as a tool invented so that legitimate causes are brought into the court by ordinary citizens, but a plea with unsubstantiated reports should not be pursued, and thus members of the bar must be conscious of it. So all statements coming in favor so far. What do you think? Is this a clean chit clearly?
See, nothing is a clean chit unless, the government, the Supreme Court actually comes and says these on paper. So I believe that, while these are unsubstantiated and, still that issue of litigation persists. But having said that, we continue to believe that there is no case against the Adanis on what the Hindenburg had proclaimed. And we believe that investors should continue to buy these stocks whenever they decline. And those are the best times to get into them.
Let's take this discussion a bit forward. Vineet, your two top picks in the sector. What is the price zone that you would be getting into them, and where could they be headed over the next 1 year?
So I think that Adani Green and Adani Energy Solutions along with Adani Power are very good buys at current levels. And we can expect these stocks to, in my opinion, these stocks have put in a long-term bear market already. And with the plans that they have on the plate and the direction that the entire sector is moving into, I think these stocks are veritably well placed to benefit from the entire electrification macro positive trend that is playing out.
Okay.
Okay, where are they headed?
So, Adani Green has just done a $1 billion raise from the promoters. That's raising 8 to 9,000 crores. And if you talk about uh, doing 3:1 in terms of debt to equity, you can take up projects for that much more amount. So it can easily go to about 20-25 gigawatts of generation power from the current levels where they are at 8,800. So we are talking of 3x capacity for Adani Green. If we talk of Adani Power, we have a target of about 700 plus on the stock. We believe that there is strong room for coal development to happen in spite of the ECG norms, etc., ESG norms, etc. And if you talk of Adani Energy Solutions, they have two businesses. Sorry, let's talk three businesses. So they have a discom, they have the transmission business, and then they have the smart metering business. So in this discom space, they have the big geography of Mumbai, and where they are they're continuously investing and they're giving lower cost power to the consumer. So that business has a very strong ROE trend continuing. If you talk of transmission business, you lock in 35 years of cash flows, and with the new solar and wind energy renewable projects coming up, you have to lay out and completely new lines for evacuation. That is going to see that growth come by. And smart metering, I think no one needs introduction to that. We have a long way to go in that. So all the positive triggers are going to see that these stocks move quite sharply and higher.
Okay. Vineet, I also wanted to understand from you, as far as the valuation and the market cap is concerned, the group has reclaimed the market cap of 15.5 lakh crore rupees, although it still lags behind the peak of 23 lakh crore rupees as well. Most of the stocks have recovered 50% of the losses that they have incurred over the last 1 year. Where do you see the fair value? Can we see the peak again of 23 lakh crore rupees coming in for the group?
So if they get a clean sheet, then I think it will move much faster and beyond the previous highs that were registered. Because since then, a lot of development has gone into all the individual companies. They become leaner and meaner, and their capital allocation is also more focused now. So I believe that once this clean sheet is obtained from the Supreme Court, we will see the stocks rally quite sharply and on the higher side. So to my mind, if you ask me, in this kind of a market where the froth is accumulated on the accumulations, I think this is one group of stocks which can reward shareholders fairly handsomely, because their correction has already been done with artificially about a year back.
Okay. Vineet, one view I'd like to take on a broader section is, does this clean sheet also provide a sigh of relief to corporate India, as also to the regulatory mechanisms that govern our markets?
So, we should give a thumbs up to our governing agencies, especially SEBI and RBI. They have held up the legal structure very, very well, and we've seen them do a great job. So, we've seen the RBI bring the private sector banks out of the PSU banks out of despair to become most profitable today. SEBI has done great work to protect investor interest. And if you see the slew of regulations that have come out over the last
Right,
one
sir.
and a half years. Yeah.
Right, sir. We have Sandeep Parekh with us. He's the managing partner at FinSec Law Advisors and a very well-known corporate lawyer. A very warm welcome to you, Sandeep. Happy New Year. Is this also a Happy New Year for the regulators, as also corporate India and the Adani Group, as far as this judgment is concerned? What are your first thoughts?
Yes, I think SEBI's essentially got a carte blanche in terms of they've they've been found to be fully empowered to do their job. They've done their job. They've kind of slowly increased and improved the quality of foreign portfolio regulations. And I think there are multiple other side comments which the Supreme Court made on conflict of interest of the expert committee with respect to transfer of case to to CBI, and multiple other kind of things which have been acknowledged by the Supreme Court. So I think it's a very good ruling for essentially both the financial markets, and it re-empowers SEBI to fully do its job within the powers given by statute.
Sandeep, would you say this is a clean chit?
Sandeep, what does it mean for corporate India?
No, so clean chit is too extreme a word really, because essentially they've put the ball back in the court of SEBI, and they've been asked to finalize the two pending investigations, and again let SEBI do its job kind of ruling, and therefore I think it's Supreme Court is saying we don't see anything fishy in this, and let SEBI do its own job.
Okay, what does it mean for the corporate India at large, which are constantly staring at such independent research reports from Hindenburg, OCCRP and the likes going forward from here? What does it mean for them?
In fact, towards the end, the Chief Justice also mentioned that if there is any kind of wrongdoing with respect to short positions taken, action may be taken against those people as well. But I think again that will depend on what SEBI finds in its investigation.
Okay, Mr. Parekh, when you look at the structure of the ruling that has come in, are there any chances that the petitioners might want to put this across to a wider bench?
I don't think that option is really available. That's for like kind of grave issues of constitutional issues, that you really say that a larger bench, and usually that comes from the court. You can't there's no appellate mechanism within the Supreme Court. The only option left for the petitioners would be to file a review. But based on statistical data, I think 99.9% of reviews are dismissed. I would not pin my hopes on that.
Okay, so that means essentially two things. It draws a curtain on this long-standing pain point that was troubling both the group as well as corporate India, as also regulators. Now, coming to a different aspect of the whole case, this was also a political hot potato. Do you think this sort of is also beneficial to the central government in terms of the regulatory structures that we have? And how do you think will Adani Group now react to in terms of its own business developments?
So I think that you'll have to, last question you'll have to ask to Adani Group. I think broadly it just puts to rest the entire conspiracy theory which has been floating around, that everybody is involved and it's kind of a hush-hush job. I think that's been debunked completely today. They basically, Supreme Court has said SEBI is doing its job well, and let them finish what they've started.
Okay, Mr. Parekh, just stay on with us. Our managing editor Siddharth Zarabi is now joining us on the show as well. Siddharth, your first take on the verdict that has been pronounced, and what does it mean for the Adani Group at large and for the corporate India at large?
Well, the broader point really is, as far as the allegations are concerned, the petitioners haven't managed to prove their case, and therefore, obviously, you are seeing some sort of relief as far as the Adani counters are concerned. A broader deep dive into the issue of opacity of regulations, and on that also there is some amount of commentary through this verdict. And therefore, I feel that as far as the resulting aftermath of this case is that SEBI and its processes and its regulations may continue to be looked at threadbare. The regulator could look to strengthen certain aspects of it, and the broader ramifications for corporate India will also be visible. For Adani, I think 2024 now starts with most of the baggage of the Hindenburg allegations being left behind it, and depending on how the macroeconomy plays out, I would personally look forward to its commentary with regard to expansion plans and how it sees its investment cycle continuing forward, Sakshi.
Absolutely. Mr. Parekh is also with us, Siddharth, in case you also have any questions. I'll take one question with him and then maybe you can ask him too. Mr. Parekh, I wanted to ask you, Supreme Court has clearly said that there is no room to doubt SEBI in the kind of probing that it has done. But does it also mean that we in India, the investors, have a very solid regulatory framework which does not, leave any room for any laxity, any kind of carelessness that may impact investors' money at large? Does this give a bright picture for the Indian investors too?
I think so. I think it supports kind of the, if you look at the doing business reports, both by World Economic Forum and by the World Bank, India typically ranks in the top 5 in the world in terms of investor protection. And I think this ruling kind of backs that up in a way, saying SEBI is doing its job. They've kind of improved the state of regulation. The enforcement is on track, and there should not be any orders passed against them that they're not doing their job. So I think it's a good support for the theory of judicial deference that let the expert handle the matter.
Okay, well, thanks a lot then, Mr. Parekh, for being with us on the show and sharing with us all your thoughts with us on the Adani Group. And we shall touch base again once we see more developments coming follow. We also have a reporter who's tracking the case right from the Supreme Court with us. Kanu is joining us live. Kanu, good morning. Tell us what have you seen and observed from the Supreme Court verdict thus far?
Very good morning to all of you. The verdict, the much-awaited verdict for the Adani Group of companies has finally come from the Supreme Court, in which it will be wrong to say that it is a clean chit, but yes, the role of the SEBI, which has been under cloud because of the Adani investigation which has been going on, has been given a green signal. The court has categorically told all the petitioners in the case that the SEBI has acted according to the law and according to what is there in their mandate to do so. And Supreme Court has also categorically made it clear that the PIL petitioners who have raised this issue have relied on only the newspaper reports and the OCCRP reports, which cannot be a substantiate evidence for the court to order a probe into the further allegations into the entire case. The court has also lauded SEBI for concluding 22 investigations, 22 cases investigated against Adani Group so far, and 2 cases of these are pending. The court has set a deadline of 3 months for the SEBI to conclude these investigations, though the court at present has disposed of the set of petitions in the case, but the court has also today asked the SEBI to frame certain guidelines so that the investors' interest should be kept in should be paramount as far as these kind of cases are concerned in future. So very clearly, the role of SEBI is clearly defined again today by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has shown a faith to the SEBI on the SEBI, and also given advice to all the PIL petitioners who rely only on those newspaper reports and come to the Supreme Court and level allegations like these which happened in the Adani-Hindenburg case. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kanu, for those detailed views that are coming in from the Supreme Court. Let's just take a quick look at what the Adani Group stocks are doing, and then we'll focus on Siddharth's view of things coming as far as the business development is concerned. Okay. Firstly, all 10 of them are in the green. The group is represented primarily by its flagship concern, Adani Enterprises, 3012 in front of you, 2.7% higher. Remember, the volume picture on this one and on all Adani stocks is phenomenally high. As of now, about 1 crore 32 lakh shares of Adani Enterprises have been traded. This is 5x volume. Adani Ports is still a percent higher, 1089. Remember, the intraday high was somewhere like 1120, about 5 times the average volume. Let's get Siddharth into this conversation, and let's look at another angle to this whole tussle. Siddharth, when you look at the political ramifications of this judgment, they are sure to reverberate across the spectrum and in favor of the BJP, because it was alleged that the alleged closeness of the group with Prime Minister Narendra Modi was one of the reasons that the report highlighted as far as certain wrongdoings were concerned, which again have been dismissed. Your view?
Well, very clearly, there are two aspects to this verdict. In a way, it is a closure of a matter that had come as a huge sort of stumbling block for the massive runaway expansion that the Adani Group was on. And Shail, you would recall when the Hindenburg allegations came to the fore, the stocks reacted, some of the partners got nervous, and it was very clear that these allegations would provide material to the political opposition to take on the government for its for the allegations with regard to closeness. That aspect has been dealt with quite conclusively, and I'm reminded of a similar situation when the government of India was facing allegations that had been created around the Rafale jet purchase. And at that time, the Supreme Court's verdict on that matter also took away much of the sting of the allegations. The characters, the storyboard is the same, although instead of Rafale, it became Adani. At that time, it was Ambani. So, for any Lok Sabha election, general election, and in a country like India, obviously there is some material for such conversation to happen. We'll leave that to the politicians. But the sting of the entire, the crux, the body of the allegations has been firmly dealt with by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court verdict is obviously not being delivered with an eye on the politics. Let me just clarify. Now it comes to the Adani plans, and let's just take, for example, one look at what was mentioned for by Gautam Adani. If you look at in the month of December alone, and we'll encourage all our viewers to go to Mr. Adani's Twitter handle, just if you want a quick take on the kind of announcements that have been made with regard to fresh investments in the energy space and several other sectors, and you realize the optimism and the gung-ho attitude that prevails as far as the Adani Group is concerned. And 2024, therefore, if we tie it with the broader macro economy, the Go Green initiative, which many other large conglomerates in India are chasing, that's going to be a key focus area. Continuing to consolidate profitability across several of the businesses that the Adani Group has will be a key agenda. And as far as capital raising goes, Shell, before I toss it back to you, remember that plan that had been stopped by the Adani Group itself. It decided to sort of return the commitments that had been made. Will 2024 see a significant capital raise? Does the Adani Group need that? I think analysts will be looking out for further commentary on that. The last presentation that I recall that the group had made about its plans and its businesses, one of the key things that came out was consolidate, ensure profitability, and be balanced as far as debt is concerned. I believe that theme will continue with the overall ambit of continuing to be on an expansion drive in an uncertain macroeconomic environment globally.
Right. Siddharth, let's sort of dig deeper into this. The Supreme Court of India also makes scathing observations for the petitioners that you depend on media reports to file in a PIL, which is sadly lacking a depth in terms of the research done or trying to prove the allegations that have been leveled. It is also, a commentary on how some parts of Western media have been hell bent on trying to take the sheen of how growth is happening in India. What do you think?
Well, there is clearly a narrative that has happened, and I'm reminded again, Shell, and you track that in the run up to the 2019 elections. Like I said, that time it was Rafale, that time it was the Anil Ambani group, that time it was these allegations of so called corporate, ties. And this is now kind of fed into mythology. There is a whole political mythology that is being created around this, and wealth creators, job enablers, job givers are targeted. At least in the recent election, we saw that, and I suspect that will continue this time. Are there grounds for that? Now, clearly, after the Supreme Court's verdict, and you mentioned this, I am reminded of one of the points that had come out during this saga, which was that some of the points made by the petitioners relied on documents, and when questions were asked that where is the source of these, it became a round circle that one of the allegations found its way into a petition, and then when the question was raised, the allegation said, well, I found it somewhere. So that's where the Supreme Court is referring to the lack of sort of authentic evidence or data. A lot of surmise, a lot of allegations were brought in together, including for a concluded case that had to do with revenue authorities. Leaving that aside, the overhang on Adani's ambitions and investment plans clearly gets lifted. I recall last year when these allegations had come out, and in our coverage at that time, we had discussed the fact that the Adani Group is likely to go on a bit of a diet when it comes to its investment binge and its expansion plans. And we saw a certain conservative philosophy from then on. I keep coming back to this question. Will it go off diet in a positive manner in 2024 post this verdict? I think that's the key commentary that we'll have to wait for from the group, especially with the results commentary that will come from various companies of the group.
Siddharth, I had one question that I wanted to ask you after this verdict. Just one moment, Shell. I just wanted to ask you, because Adani Group is one of the biggest conglomerates that we have in India, and this scathing report from Hindenburg Research Report had questioned the corporate governance and with the way that perhaps artificially prices were inflated. How would going forward any such reports be taken? Will they be taken with a pinch of salt after this report?
Well, we have to make a distinction between a short seller's allegations, which by design a short seller does it all across the world with a certain sort of strategy in mind. And if there are any other findings by any agencies, regulatory authorities, or even by watchdogs, including by the media, each will have to be taken case by case. I don't think a carte blanche can be given to corporate India on account of verdict with regard to this one case. But yes, there is greater onus now in the public mind, in the investor mind, in the shareholder mind, when it comes to even short sellers or others, to provide more credible, authentic, meaty evidence for anyone to make a call on. We saw the knee-jerk reaction that happened in stocks after this, and we are now seeing counters in the Adani Group going up. Is this a relief rally? Why is it happening? The sentiment is the key issue, and every time the companies concerned will have to have a greater focus on governance and their communications to the wider stakeholder community with regard to any concerns that are raised. And therefore, I think even the Adani Group has learned several lessons in this regard, and following the Hindenburg allegations, we have seen in some ways a different media strategy also being crafted at the group.
Right. Sakshi, let me just highlight a particular set of stocks that is heaving a very big sigh of relief, and it's the PSU banking sector. Remember, most of the loans that corporate India takes, in fact, 76% of Indian corporate loan book is with public sector banks, and this relief is in the form of the Nifty PSU banking index hitting the day's highest level. It's also the top gainer. Remember, the broader market is actually down. So this is a relief that is coming in, and out of the 12 stocks that make the Nifty PSU banking index, 11 are in the green. Canara Bank 459. I'm sure the Adani Group has a lot of banking exposure to the public sector space. Let's look at these stocks which are doing fantastically well. When you look at the top gainers, of course, the 11 out of 12 are in the gain. UCO Bank is up 4%, 41.45. Maharashtra Bank is 47.25, 4% higher. Canara Bank 3.3% higher. Bank of Baroda is 1% higher, 233. As also Central Bank, Bank of India, and of course State Bank of India 1% higher, 645. So it's a relief all around, not only for the Adani Group but also for the banking sector. Getting Siddharth back into the conversation, Siddharth, whether we okay, I think Siddharth's caught up elsewhere. Sakshi, what are your observations? You had a query.
I did want to ask you, Shell, if we remember, for all the viewers, the MSCI had cut weightage on the Adani Group stocks post the Hindenburg research report. Is it now likely that the MSCI reverses its free float change decision that was implemented? If that happens, are we looking at more flows from the MSCI coming in into the Adani Group? And what does that mean now?
Sakshi, the MSCI reworking or rejig happens on a 6-monthly basis, in fact even on a quarterly basis. I would imagine that this is a shot in the arm for the group, and it's possible that the rejig might pay attention to this decision, but remember, it will come at the cost of other shares from the Indian basket. It's not as if the basket is expanded, it's just that within the basket the weightages of some shares change, some are removed and some are added. So given that this decision has come in favor of the Adani Group, I am sure some kind of flows would already happen, but full marks, as I would like to say, to GCQ partners that bought fear in the market when everything was going against the Adani Group. They invested something to the tune of $8 billion and have doubled that money in less than 1 year. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Rajiv Jain of GQG, who gained 17,000 crores in just 9 months via the Adani shares, is something that we have seen as a big, I think 82% richer is what the Adani Group stocks have made him within this kind of a time frame, from 4.5 lakh crore rupees to 14.5 lakh crore rupees, the market cap reaching. It has also given a big shot in the arm for GQG investors as well. Right. So let's also, all right, we're getting a petitioner's bite. So let's see what the petitioner had to say after the verdict. Let's play that bite for all our viewers right now. All right. Okay, we'll get that bite in a bit. But we will show you that as well. But clearly we can see, although some profits are being taken off, Shell, from the high point of the day on the Adani Group stocks, you know, good news priced in already, it seems.
Absolutely. As they say, you know, the things working in favor of India, working in favor of the Indian market, and in that Goldilocks scenario seem to be adding to the list, and this decision is also one of them, Sakshi. I would imagine, see, it removes, forget what happened between 9:15 and 10:30 before the verdict came. Of course, stocks just spiraled in terms of the gains that they made. Now there is some profit booking happening. This is classic buy ahead of news and sell once news is confirmed. But Sakshi, you know, what it takes away from the list of worries is what will happen if the judgment is against the group. How will the group sort of handle its planned expansions, not only domestically. Remember, Adani is more or less an export-oriented company as well. You have, you know, foreign partnerships in the form of Total Gas from France. Adani Ports is probably the biggest entry and exit point for import and exports as far as private groups are concerned. So all those pain points are now taken away, and you can again focus on building your business. You can again look for money overseas. Remember, a lot of loans by the Adani Group have been prepaid, and that was the overhang. So your existing cash flows were under strain because you were trying to pay off overseas borrowings. Your how should I say, brand sheen is back again as far as markets are concerned, and that again adds to the momentum. You see, we've totaled a lot of business groups who've created immense wealth in 2023. The Adani Group was not amongst the top 5. It essentially means that 2024 might probably belong to this group.
And that's wonderful, and I'm sure that would come in as good news for all the investors who've been holding patiently into these stocks despite all the volatility that we've seen all through 2023. They've seen truest of the cycles in the Adani Group stocks as well. So right now, let's look at, okay, so we do have a bite of the petitioner Vishal Tiwari now on the Adani-Hindenburg case judgment. Let's play that bite out for all our viewers to listen in.
देखिए सर, जो आपकी एसआईटी बनाने की मांग थी उसे
एसआईटी बनाने की मांग हमारी याचिका में नहीं थी, अन्य किसी याचिका में होगी, तो उससे हमारा कोई संबंध नहीं है। एसआईटी अपने आप सेबी द्वारा बनाई गई थी और वो उस पर इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है।
सर, एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये कही है कि जो भी थर्ड पार्टी इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगी उसे बिना वेरिफिकेशन के एज ए प्रूफ ट्रीट नहीं किया जा सकता।
बिल्कुल, देखिए ये तो सीधा लॉ का प्रिंसिपल है कि थर्ड पार्टीज इन्वेस्टिगेशंस हैं या कोई न्यूज़पेपर रीडिंग है, न्यूज़पेपर्स पब्लिकेशंस हैं, जब तक कोई एविडेंस, क्रेडिबल एविडेंस ऐसी ना हो तो उन पर रिलाई नहीं किया जा सकता।
सर, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये भी कहा है कि अभी सेबी की जांच में या कोई निर्देश देने का अभी कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि वो अपने आप में सक्षम एक संस्थान है जो जांच कर रही है।
देखिए, सेबी द्वारा ऑलरेडी एसआईटी गठित कर दी गई थी और हाल ही में सेबी की जो स्टेटस रिपोर्ट दी गई उसमें 22 इन्वेस्टिगेशंस कंप्लीट कर ली गई हैं, 2 आर पेंडिंग। तो 2 पर भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने 3 महीने का टाइम दिया है कि इनको कंप्लीट करें। तो सेबी द्वारा ऑलरेडी एसआईटी की गई है और वो अपनी इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है, उसमें हस्तक्षेप का कोई अभी जो है ग्राउंड नहीं बनता।
All right, so that was petitioner Vishal Tiwari and his comments on the judgment right now. Just let me recap for all our viewers the key points from the verdict from the Supreme Court on the Adani-Hindenburg case. The Supreme Court has said the court must refrain from commenting on regulatory matters of SEBI. The court, it cannot be treated as a regulatory failure of SEBI. Opaque structures were permitted pre-2014. This was not diluted. In fact, it was further tightened. 2018 onwards, transparency was prioritized. We find no reason to interfere in SEBI's functioning. SEBI has completed 22 of the 24 investigations. Remaining 2 within the next 3 months must be completed. The court does not warrant transfer of investigation to any other body, including the CBI. So that's a big positive. OCCRP allegations on authorized regulator SEBI cannot be treated as authentic, conclusive, cannot be treated as credible. Another victory coming in there. And letter by DRI has been misconstrued, is what the SEBI has said. All right, Shell, do you have any other points to make? And we will wind up the show.
Well, Sakshi, I think in my, how should I say, declining list of worries, there is one thing less, which is the overhang of the SEBI judgment on not only the Adani Group, but also on corporate India, also on the regulatory framework of the government of India, as also stock markets. So that's a big worry off the list, and let's look forward to a new dawn. as far as business expansion is concerned from the Adani Group, and let's show our backs to these kind of research reports that not only cast aspersions based on less than provable evidence on Indian business groups, Indian regulatory structures and Indian stock markets. I am sure this kind of activity will now draw to a halt, if not finish altogether. That's a victory for the retail shareholder. That's a victory for corporate India, for banking sector, and for almost anybody you can think of. Remember, Sakshi, what has also happened in the last 1 year, the retail participation in all Adani Group stocks has increased dramatically, and they are the biggest beneficiaries.
Absolutely. And Shell, we also have Gautam Adani, chairman of the Adani Group, now tweeting on the judgment. He has tweeted by saying, and I quote, "The Honorable Supreme Court's judgment shows that truth has prevailed. Satyamev Jayate. I am grateful to those who stood by us. Our humble contribution to India's growth story will continue. Jai Hind." This is what Gautam Adani has just tweeted 2 minutes back, ladies and gentlemen, on the judgment, on the verdict that we have just seen from the Supreme Court on the Adani-Hindenburg case. With that, we will wrap up this special edition. Do stay tuned with us on Business Today television as we continue to track more market moves for you throughout the course of this day. With that, Shell and me, it's a goodbye from us.